Hey, this is going to be the first in a series of interviews with really cool, relevant current bass players, particularly those on the UK stroke kind of London session scene. I really want to kind of meet up with people that I see about on TV, hear on the radio. I want to know what they're up to, get an insight into what they're doing with their playing and the artists they're working with, what it's like, all the experiences that go with that. First up is a man, he's a top bloke.
And my name is Dave Troke.
It's great.
Yeah, that's it, cool.
To start with, here's a little behind the scenes tour that Dave did for us of his gear setup when he was on the Spicewell tour recently, and particularly this is the footage he took at Wembley Stadium, as you do.
Hello Jack, hope you're well mate. Just thought I'd give you a little rundown quickly of my gear at this place, Wembley Stadium. So, there's my beautiful bass made by Mr. Tom Stenback.
It goes straight into my tuner, of course it does. Then into this Calais 76 compressor, which is beautiful. Then all my pedals, this is an octave pedal, first pedal, a future impact, which is modelled on a deep impact.
Do a bit of synth bass on this Roland Gaia. Little set list.
Ooh, set list.
This is my shout mic, so this is not for singing because I'm a rubbish singer, but it talks to monitors, so I can ask him to turn things up and down because he's over there somewhere. And if I run out, I'll show you a little bit. This is the last day of the tour, by the way. You start to see a little bit of the monster of the stage. It's the Death Star, as we call it. And then this is the tour manager, and then this is the side bit, and everything will come to life in a few hours. That is my setup. Ooh, excited to see people, maybe not my mum. Right, so let's talk about sex. I am from a place called Hinckley. It's in the Midlands. It's not the one with the power station that everyone goes, oh, is that the one with the power station? That's the one out on the west coast. This is the one in between Leicester and Coventry. It's weird staring at myself. Hello.
Tell us a bit about what it was like for you. We kind of started talking about how you first got into music, because you were saying you were a piano player originally.
Yeah, well, I started on recorder, like I think everyone did. Did everyone start on recorder?
Yeah, possibly.
So. Yeah, it's a strange instrument though, isn't it? I think so. I used to go to sort of play school a couple of days, and then I used to go to my friend's sort of mum's house, and I think that was sort of to have sort of early schooling. I think with my parents were hoping that I'd be clever and bright, but that didn't work out. She was very musical, so I think that's where the sort of music sort of started, because my parents aren't musical at all. My mate's mum started to get me into piano, so I started on piano, and then my grandma very kindly bought me a piano, which was amazing. And I started, it was probably about 10, I think, and started having proper sort of full-on classical lessons. But at the time was not really listening to classical music, so but it was great sort of musical sort of schooling. So I spent a couple of years sort of starting out on piano, doing sort of classical associated board stuff, that was it. But my brother was smacking the shit out of drums in the room next to me, which was making me very sort of jealous really. I was like, I want to do what he's doing. La 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 la. He's playing Nirvana and I'm playing Beethoven, which at the time, being that age, I was massively jealous. So yeah, piano didn't really last that long, I'll be honest. I switched over to bass after that, about 12. I can't really remember why I chose bass and not say guitar or something like that. Now being a teacher, guitar is a lot more sort of popular instrument just because it's more at the forefront of a band, or more popular. But I don't know why I sort of veered towards bass. I don't know if I make this up or actually it is a memory sort of thing, but I remember sort of standing at the top of my parents' staircase going, I can't play the drums. I really want to play the drums because my brother's a drummer, but I can't do that because I'd just be copying him. I don't want to play the guitar because there's loads of guitarists, so I can't sing for shit. So at least one other instrument, because that's all the instruments I knew at the time. Bass, cool, bass it is then. So yeah, I started sort of, I still remember going to, there was a little music shop called TPS in Hinckley, owned by a guy called John, I think. I remember my dad, we were just about to go on holiday in a couple of weeks to Cyprus, and my dad was like, "Are you sure you want to go and get a bass? Isn't like another one of your fads?" And I was, not that I remember being particularly much of a fad child, but I bought that bass, and that's still floating around somewhere in Hinckley. Probably being used as a cricket bat or something. Yeah, some of my brother's friends, sort of like, mainly guitarists, taught me sort of like my first bass lines from Metallica stuff and stuff like that. And yeah, it's sort of me and my brother really, like rhythm section. And he used to drill me and be like, "Come on, play some bass lines." And I'd play something. He's like, "That's not a bass line." And I'd just sit there going, "What is a bass line? Like, I'm playing a bass. Is that not a bass line?" And I was really confused. And yeah, I used to just play loads, and it was great fun. It was like sibling rhythm section, and he was awesome. He was really good, my brother, on drums. Sort of Metallica, sort of Sepultura as well, that sort of thing. After a while, I started to get a bit complacent with the whole just chugging eighth notes, and I was like, I need something extra sort of thing. I need something a bit different, but keeping in that sort of, I can't really call it rock, but I sort of, the early Chili Peppers sort of stuff started coming into my life, and I discovered Flea, and I was like, this is cool. You can sort of like move away from the whole eighth note thing, but sort of there was sort of the earlier stuff was a bit sort of heavier sort of thing. Like Jamiroquai sort of came into my life, which is wonderful now, because now I'm at this point in my career, I sort of know the Jamiroquai guys, and it was just like, wow, it's sort of come full circle to sort of, I mean, it's a different bass player then, it's Stuart Zender now, and now it's Paul Turner, but to know those guys and Rob Harrison, it's wonderful. I still remember discovering the live Beduism album and just being
killer, yeah,
sat there so confused to why I couldn't get that groove, that sort of like neo soul gospel vibe. Boy sat in Hinckley just going, how's he do that? Like, just that album still today like just blows me away. And just being sat in my bedroom with my shit hi-fi going, what's going on here, sort of thing, just completely blown away by those guys and girls. They were just amazing sort of thing. So that's how it started to sort of turn for me musically, sort of stylistically, sort of listening to different stuff. And my brother was like, the best way to get better was sort of get in a band. Like, we need a bass player. Everyone needed a bass player because no one plays bass. So yeah, sort of joined a band with my brother, did my first gig, completely shit myself, but it went quite well sort of thing. It was good, and sort of started to get a buzz for that. But just rehearsing and playing with different people was just the best thing really. Yeah, just feeding off other musicians really, just really improved your playing, and just going to do gigs and just getting confident with your instrument. It was the next sort of big thing for me would have been going to my GCSE school. As a music teacher that just had a little chat to on Facebook the other day actually, called Mr. Sleeth, who was the most encouraging music teacher ever really. His sort of little community in his music sort of area at school was amazing, and he sort of really helped push me through and was very supportive. There weren't sort of music college courses after GCSE land, so no BTECs or anything like that for my brother to go on to, or not that we were aware of, and my parents not being musical weren't really aware of them, so he sort of started getting a job and the drums started slipping away, and I sort of had the support of this music teacher, and also started to have extra bass lessons as well. I still remember those careers evenings you have at school where you sort of go and you've got like the army there and the RAF there sort of thing, and walking around with your parents and like, so what do you want to do? And you're like, I don't fucking know. They were just the worst things ever. And I was sort of walking around and they were like, what do you want to do? And I was like, music. And everyone's sort of like, cool, what do you want to do then? And I'm like, I really like music. And my music teacher was like, go and see that guy over there. And it was just this lonely guy in the corner with this shitty wooden desk. And he was like, oh, hi, we do a BTEC course at our local college in music. And I was like, I didn't realise you could have a career in music, because stupid as it sounds, like not thinking about all the music you hear on TV and just gigs and everything like that. I think being in the sort of smallish town and just not having a clue, and my parents not being musical, just didn't get it, just didn't understand that you could have a career in it and how to get there or anything like that, or any training in it. And this guy was like, yeah, there's a BTEC course that's opened up. And I was like, that one please, I want to go there. And it was just our local college, which was down the road. And that was honestly, that evening was like, you have these big turning points in your life where if you weren't at that point, you weren't at that place at the right time, things would have been different, I think, for your life. And that was a massive turning point for my life. Dave Caswell was my teacher, bass player up in the Midlands. Steve Cooper, they're all working musicians on the circuit sort of thing. So Steve Cooper was the sort of head of it all. He's a great guitarist. Again, he's sort of Midlands based, but he's out working and stuff like that. And yeah, it's wicked to sort of have caught up in like gigging sense sort of thing, and see them out on the circuit now. So took a sort of year out after that, went travelling for a bit, which was amazing fun. And then came back and started a HND course there, which is the first 2 years of a degree. But did the first year, and then I spoke to my mate who had moved down to London. My mate was like, move down to London, it's a different world. So after a lot of pestering with my parents, they were like, all right, cool, we'll help you out and get you down to London. And then moved down and started joining the second year of a degree at Bass Tech. It's like it almost landed in my lap, and there was just a couple of people that were just like, you need to come and do this. And I was like, okay. And because my parents are brilliant, they just trusted me and supported me.
And where was your playing at when you moved to London? Had you kind of...
Rubbish! I joined the second year of a degree. My mate had already done the first year, so he gave me the heads up of what they were going straight into the second year semester, which was jazz. I'd never played jazz in my life, could barely spell it, let alone play it. So he was like, right, for your audition piece, play the Head of Spain. I was like, the Head of Spain? Like, these words didn't make sense to me. Like, what do you mean head for a start, and what's Spain? Like, we're going on a holiday? What are we doing? I was still practicing the major scale. I was like, major scale, how does that go again? That's where I was at. And then I literally just learnt the Head of Spain. He recorded the chords to Spain on mini disc, and he was like, right, this is how Spain goes. And I just literally was just trying to read it out of the real book, and just managed to get that together. So then I go into the audition. Thank you, Terry Gregory. I go into the audition and they're like, oh, what are you going to play? And I'm like, I'm just going to play the Head to Spain. And they're like, cool, well, if you can do that, then of course you come into the second year. Meanwhile, I'm like, major scale. So I had to practice my fucking arse off, basically, to play catch-up. I should have done that first year. Because, yeah, I didn't know half of the stuff. So I just came in, and because my mate was like, we're going into jazz, and just played the Head of Spain, whatever that meant at the time. I had no idea. It was a pop music course, really. But throughout the second year, we had a sort of a semester on different styles, and the first one was jazz. I feel like I'm always a late developer with whatever I'm doing. I feel like once I get there, I do it right. But I'm always late developing. Started doing some gigs now and again at O'Neill bars sort of thing, and then a while after that started getting my first functions and stuff. Like, I know people that are still at uni that are doing great pop gigs sort of thing. I'm like, they were miles away from where I was miles away from that sort of thing. They're years ahead of me. I went into sort of band territory first before I started doing sort of session territory, if you want to call it that. So I started focusing. I was in a band called The Rise, and we had 2 record deals. So I sort of went down that route before doing any sort of session stuff. So yeah, I started doing the whole band thing, really, doing loads of recordings and pushing that and pushing the MySpace thing. Oh, MySpace, how I miss you. I hated it. Yeah, we sort of we peaked at 105 in the charts.
Nice.
Then we moved, we had a single deal, and then we got an album deal with. But that was wicked. That was all good fun. It was a great learning curve, all of that stuff. And then I sort of packed all that in. I was like, I need to be in control of my diary. That's what actually helped me buy my first that old 63p bass, because I was doing function gigs and I was on a retainer with that, and I was like, just taking both the monies basically, and I was like, I'm going to buy a P bass, and bought that old 63 because I was trying to earn double bubble basically.
No.
I stopped doing that and tried to contact people, fixers and stuff on the whole session thing, and it took a long time, man. It took a long time sort of getting into the whole pop world really, but it was it's just been a couple, like 2 sort of key people that sort of helped me in the pop world really. I think I feel I've been quite lucky getting gigs in the pop world really. It's been a slow long burn, but it's been fun. Yeah, they're all brilliant and brilliantly different as well, and all wicked bass gigs, like to play sort of thing. Spice Girls, of course, I don't think we could have escaped them growing up. You know, they were massive, they were huge sort of thing. I think growing up, it wasn't my thing because I was into a different style, but now I'm really into pop now. So to go into detail with them in rehearsals, I'm like, really appreciate them. I think they're wicked. Like, those pop tunes are amazing. Beverley Knight, yeah, absolutely listened to her through the 90s and stuff like that, and then to get the call to do the gig was awesome. I felt I had to really step it up as well, because they're big grooves on that sort of thing. It's quite a big gig to sort of hold down, and just recording an album for it at the minute sort of thing, which is great. It's really cool. I'm just doing that remotely, which is first sort of time I've done that for an album remotely. But it's really nice. You can sort of do it at your own leisure. Yeah, they really let me grow in that band. They were really, really good. I learnt a lot doing that sort of stuff. And then Leo Sayer, like, the thing I love about that is all my heroes on his records. And then to go and do it, like, you look through this, like, the sleeve on the back of vinyl. I've got a couple of vinyl over there. And like, I'm like, oh my God, like multiple instruments heroes sort of thing. Like, I'm really into drums, and like, you see, like, Jeff Porcaro was one of his best mates, you know, and it's like Steve Lucas is on there and Abe Laboriel and all those guys, and you're like, and now Dickhead Me gets to play with him, and you're like, this is amazing. Wow. Spice Girls, really enjoyed playing Who Do You Think You Are and Goodbye. Goodbye was on synth bass, but I don't know, I just love that track. I think it's really nice. Beverley Knight, most of her tracks have evolved quite a bit since the original recordings, but really enjoy Flavour and Keep This Fire Burning. I really enjoy the obvious Greatest Day, but I don't know, these other two are brilliant. Leo Sayer, as much as I enjoy You Make Me Feel Like Dancing and stuff. What's it called? Have You Ever Been in Love? It's just a beautiful song. Absolutely amazing. Really enjoy playing that one. I've only ever done a support slot on an arena tour. So I've never like headlined an arena tour and then just jumped straight over to doing stadiums. It was amazing. Like the first show we did, I think is actually bigger than Wembley Stadium. It's Croke Park in Dublin. It's 82,500 people. Honestly, I was like, fucking hell, this is massive. It's ridiculous. And they had the whole wristbands like Coldplay did that lit up. But they sort of went one stage further where there's like a laser beam that shone down over the crowd that you obviously can't see, that controls the wristbands, and they would like flash in time with the music. It caused like a wave of lights to go across. So that was like a light show for the band and the dancers and the girls. But that also meant when it got dark, you could see the crowd, everyone to every corner, and it was just like, wow, so many people. It would not get tiring. It was just like so many people. And then when it got to Wembley Stadium, it was I don't know, it was quite emotional. It really was. And then they did 3 nights there. So it was like the first night, it was amazing, over in a flash. And then it was like, I get to do it again tonight. And then again the next night. So you really settled into it. It was quite a amazing moment in rehearsals when that was the last tune we rehearsed, and it's one of those sort of quite kiddish lines, isn't it, to play? And when we sort of played it on our own, like as a band, we were like, okay, cool. But then as soon as those ladies started singing it with us, it all made sense. It was like, this is it. But without them, honestly, we sort of sounded like a bunch of 12-year-olds playing it. We were like, okay, they're like, the band are awesome. Like those guys are wicked. I played with them for years. And we sort of got to that track and it was like, okay, it sounds cool. It sounds cool. And then as soon as those ladies joined us on playing it was like, now it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And we all digressed into these 12-year-olds going, just that one track. I don't know. It was amazing because that was the one, you know. And as soon as they sing it, everything changes. Like something happens when they sing that song. There was a section where they introduced the band. That started out as it sort of developed really. It started out as like they just introduced the band and we sort of almost made a noise on our instrument. It was just to acknowledge like Louis on guitar and he was like Wah! And Dave on bass and then it turned into like playing a fill, like Louis on guitar played something, Dave on bass played a fill, and then it turned into started quoting a line from a song, and that's probably where you started hearing like, oh, one night Louis did Part Life sort of thing, and another night I did an Omar tune. What's the classic bass line?
There's Nothing Like This.
Yeah. And stuff like that. And then we started getting to the point where we started quoting riffs from each of their album songs and stuff like that, and started mixing it all up. And then when we got to like Wembley Stadium, obviously there were celebrities there, so depending on who was in the house, we'd quote, say if there was an actor or an actress there, we'd quote something from their film. And like one night, because Jerry's married to Christian Horner from Red Bull Formula One Racing, we'd play like The Chain, Fleetwood Mac or something like that, because Bernie Eccleston was there and stuff like that, so they'd all go mental and love it sort of thing. So there was a little cover section where we'd play Car Wash into, can't remember, We Are Family was in there as well. Family. They said family, and it just stuck in my brain. We Are Family, and so there was a couple of covers in there, sort of thing that they would do. But now, like at this age, sort of looking over their tunes, especially in great detail, because we spent 4 weeks with the band just rehearsing before we went into production, you start to realise that some of their tunes are like they're based upon classic tunes, maybe chic tunes or something like that, and you're like, clever, really clever the way they've done them. So some of the bass lines, you're like, these are wicked bass lines, and it's basically like that's a very similar sort of bass line to like a Bernard Edwards tune, bass line or something like that. And you're like, that's cool, the way they've done that, and that's why it's so catchy, and they're just brilliant. The way they did their tunes, just awesome. The production's awesome, and yeah, really enjoyed taking them to pieces and hearing them. And when you get the stems as well and start hearing the stuff on individual stems, you're like, this is cool, this is really cool. So yeah, it's good. Definitely doing most of your practice, or a lot of the whole technique and drilling the whole scales thing, I think is definitely a good thing to do early on. I think the brain reacts better to that sort of thing early on. I think I find it harder to remember that sort of stuff and get it into your fingers later on. Maybe I'm just a little bit out of practice regimes just because of work commitments and stuff like that, but I definitely found that easier when I was younger. So I definitely tell my younger self to get on that earlier. Bass playing has changed a bit for me over the years. It used to be sort of like all this sort of practice and chops and jacko and all this sort of stuff, and now it's more like music, energy, sound, time, that sort of thing, more zen side of it. There's so much like stuff that other players can do that I haven't got a fucking chance in doing, but I'm not that interested. Like, I think it sounds wonderful and I can sit and watch it all day and I'm like, fucking hell, you guys are amazing. I haven't got a chance in doing any of that, but I'm more focused on like sound, energy, time, feel, making it sound good. That's what I sort of focus on. So I don't know if I'd tell my younger self to sort of maybe focus on those sort of skills, you know, that sort of thing. I'm not really one for going into sort of like fashionable stuff. I always sort of stay clear of the obvious, what everyone else is doing. I don't know, try and to expect to get something different from doing the same as everyone else is you'll never achieve it, you know, that sort of thing. So I was trying to sort of stay clear of that sort of stuff.
On the way here, I was like thinking that if anyone ever makes a film about your life, it could be. That won't happen. Yeah, but wait for it. What if it's called Troke Back Mountain?
Oh. Yeah.
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 Okay. Cool.
Okay. Cool.